All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ole Miss After Dark. I would like to thank all of y'all for joining us for the 2024 Ole Miss football obituary episode. That way we can put this sucker in the ground, cover with 6 feet in dirt, and never dig this damn thing back up for the rest of time because it is now officially over. It is a failed season. There was one goal in mind coming into this year with all the talent we had on this roster. They got very close, but in true Ole Miss fashion, we got right there to the end and couldn't get the win we needed. We have 3 losses so far this year, should have won all 3 of them. It's not the way college football works, though. We ended up losing all 3 of those games, and therefore we're in the position we are in now where the season is officially over going into the Egg Bowl. Hitch, how you doing, bud?
Great. Not really, but yeah, that game yesterday, I knew in the first quarter with 3 minutes left that Lagway made a play. Poopall had him in the backfield. Lagway got away from him, made a throw, and then a couple of plays later, made another ridiculous play. And I was just, this is today's the day. This is not today, right? Today's not our day. It just everything went wrong, right? I mean, you had a tackle for loss for like 10 yards and then a nameplate or whatever, horse collar tackle. And everything went wrong for us that could. Everything went right for them that could. It was a tough game to watch, and I hate it because it felt like a game that we were really going into, clicking on all cylinders, fixing to put away that stigma of, we are Ole Miss, but lo and behold, we are Ole Miss.
Here we are once again, right? It's kind of like you said, we were clicking on all cylinders after that LSU loss. Really seemed like things come together. Obviously, unfortunate Trey Harris goes down. Big play receiver, makes plays after play after play after play, re-aggravates that groin, and it was kind of a mirror image of that LSU game, right? Once he went out there in that first half, everything just kind of fell apart offensively for us, and it happened again. I do want to start with DJ Lagway. Me and you talked about him on Thursday when we did our Florida preview, Hitch. When you look just strictly at the numbers of what he did yesterday, you're not going to be overly impressed with it. 10 for 17, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Really good pick there by John Saunders, I believe, is the one that got it, if my memory serves me correctly. Sacked 3 times. But what he was able to do under pressure when we got guys to him, it's not like he was clean all game long. We just couldn't get that son of a bitch to the ground. Every time we got a hand on him, he was able to escape or make an unbelievable throw with guys hanging off of him to extend drives, get a first down, that sort of thing. An absolute superstar in the making down there in Gainesville with DJ Lagway.
Yeah, I hate it. But he sure did look that way yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you I don't know. I've got a lot of notes and a lot of questions. I don't know that as a fan I deserve answers to all of them, but I still have the questions.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get into them then. What's kind of your takeaways from yesterday's game? Questions you have, stuff like that, and we'll hammer through them.
Well, just like I mentioned it when we talked on Thursday, right? The big thing was third downs, and I didn't. I need to look and see what we ended up being, but I mean, it was in the first half you had OM 1 for 7, UF I think like 6 for 8. And man, I don't know that it got a whole lot better as it kept. Let's see. So efficiency, we were 3 for 14, they were 7 for 15, right? And I said it on Thursday, third down is going to be the key, right? Getting them off the field on third down and us staying on the field on third down. I mean, I'd start there because that's where it seemed like things started to fall apart. We could not convert a third down, right?
No, and I'm glad you started there too, because it was one of the things I said early on in the game. Obviously, I was watching it with my dad like I do every single Saturday. And at one point in the first half, we were 2 for 6 on third downs, and with an average of 2.4 yards to go on those third downs. We were setting ourselves up in good position to convert them, but we could not get the 2-3 yards we needed to extend those drives. And then that obviously put us in bad situations. On fourth down, we were 2 for 4. the one that really sticks out to me, Hitch, red zone. We were in the red zone 3 times, and we came away with a grand total of 0 points in those 3 trips to the red zone. Some of those third downs you're talking about occurred in the red zone. We were going for it with J.J. Pegues. I guess credit Florida. They've been the only team that stopped him all year, but it looked like he was going more off tackle than he was up the middle there as well, which I think contributed to that a little bit. But yeah, that was one of the things that I had as well was the third down conversion percentage, 3 of 14. Like I said, at one point we were 2 for 6 with an average of 2.4 yards to go. That's not going to win you a whole lot of football games, especially on the road in this league, where this year more than any, and it's been apparent throughout the years, as much as me and you have watched SEC football, as I'm sure the people that are listening here, you know how hard it is to go on the road in the SEC and win. You're not going to do it doing that on third down and not getting a single point in the red zone out of 3 trips.
No, I mean, and I remember before the year, right, we looked at the schedule and we walked through it, and there were 4 games on it that I think we were like, okay, this is a gotcha game. We got to get at least 3 of these, right? Because I think, and it didn't work out the way that we were necessarily mapping it out, because we were thinking, that Georgia game is going to be the one that we have to worry about, and then these other ones. But we won 2 out of the 4 of those games that we thought that we would have to win, at South Carolina, at LSU, at Arkansas, and then Florida. And I remember being like, at the end of the year, if we're not careful, like that's the game that's going to get us. That one right there. And people were just like, well, no, they're bad and everything. And kudos to Napier. I mean, he's done a heck of a job down there to keep those guys in it and playing hard. So I don't know. I don't know if Florida is just better than we thought they were, because they looked okay, or if we just went down there flat. I think probably a combination of both.
Yeah, we talked about it on Thursday. There was no reason for Ole Miss to lose this game on Saturday, but if we were going to lose the game, it was going to be because the offensive line trouble showed up like they did prior to the LSU game. You come out of that bye week, the offensive line seemed to have been fixed. We'd really pass blocked really well. We didn't do that on Saturday. Couldn't keep Jackson Dart clean. He was constantly under pressure. And then limit turnovers. As long as we didn't turn the ball over and we protected the quarterback, we didn't do either of those 2 things on Saturday. And that results in a 7-point loss that, again, essentially ends the season. Will I watch the Egg Bowl? Yeah. Am I going to be as invested in it? No. There was one goal this year that was get to the playoffs, make a national title run. And I know that was the goal of all the players and coaches and all of that. I know they're just as disappointed as we are, or they better be at least. But yeah, just couldn't quite get it done. Couldn't come up with the big win when we need to. And the really frustrating part is how everything fell into place for Saturday, except for us winning, right? You had all of these upsets, all of these teams ahead of us losing games, and you just couldn't go get the job done. Let's talk about running back for a second, Hitch. Saw something earlier today. I know I sent it to you. I don't remember the exact percentages, but TJ Ops put it out. Yesterday against Florida, wide receivers and defensive linemen got the highest percentage of carries for us. Quarterbacks were second. Running backs were last. I think the running backs only had like 11% of carries. And I think that was only Matt Jones and Dominique Thomas, if memory serves me correctly there. I mean, I know this is something that we've talked about a lot, that a lot of people have talked about. Nobody really has an answer. But what do you make of it?
Man, I don't get it. I started feeling like we might be in trouble whenever Lane came out with that tweet saying that, Micah Davis is going to be in the backfield. And I get, the thought process behind it of, well, maybe he's quicker, faster. He can get to the edges, quicker. I get that.
Well, I think a lot of it was getting him in space because he's so dynamic in space as a returner and stuff like that. But at the same time, you don't need your number 5 receiver carrying the ball 11 times.
No, especially when your number 1 receiver goes out. Yeah. maybe put him back into receiving. But yeah, I don't get it. You have Quinshawn Judkins left, right? We felt okay
Mhm.
with Bentley, and then we went out and got a couple of other guys who had one of them has played, right, Parrish, but he got hurt. We give Bentley a bunch of money, and he
Mhm.
he doesn't touch the ball like at all yesterday.
Never. Mm-mm.
I
Not a
don't
single carry.
yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand it. The one thing I noticed about Micah Davis running was not that he was a bad runner. I mean, he 27 yards on 11 carries, but he they had no trouble bringing him down. Right, first contact down. Right,
Hmm.
if it was third and short, right, you're not getting that first down. And so I don't know. I just don't understand what is going on in that running back room. Every time Bentley has touched the ball, right, like in games, he's had a big game. Against LSU, he had a big run and a touchdown. And other times he has, I don't know, man. I wish I had the answer, but it baffles me.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, this isn't an indictment on Micah Davis whatsoever. They put him in a position he's not familiar with in a really big game that we had to win. Did the best he could. I thought Dominic Thomas played well, but he only had 3 carries. Averaged six point
Yeah.
seven yards a carry. Most of it was on that last drive, or maybe those last couple of drives when we were trying to go down and tie the game. Um,
Well,
Maybe
and
try
when
to
you
give
think
him a few
about
more carries or something like that.
Well, and then when you think about Micah Davis, right, being back there in the backfield, I mean, he had a big muff punt, right?
Hmm.
That was Micah Davis that muffed
Yep.
that punt, and so you got to think um, maybe I, I don't know what I'm trying to say other than uh, let him return punts and catch the ball, right? Adding more to
Instead
his
of putting so
plate.
much on him.
Right, I'm not saying that he muffed that punt because he was a running back.
Yeah.
I'm not stupid enough to know that's the case, but I do know that sometimes your mind can get going, and you're used to
Hmm.
catching punts, right? I do this 100 times a day in practice. I can catch it and not think about it, and maybe he's thinking about what play am I going to get? Oh man, I got to be sure I'm lined up right, and it's an easy muff right there. Your head's just not in the game. It's another one of those
Yeah.
things about being flat on the road. And yeah, so I think that's probably plays into that muffed punt, which was a big turning point in the game, a big momentum shifter there. So
Mm.
yeah, the running back room confuses the shit out of me, and I don't understand it. And I guess
As
we're
it
just
should.
dumb fans and don't need an answer. Which okay, I get it. I know that we're not part of the organization, but at the same time, when you berate us for not coming to the stadium, and then you ask for money from us to pay these players, right? Then
Hmm.
maybe tell us why he's not playing because it seems like
Yeah.
he's a
Give us
very good
something.
offensive player. Seems like he's a very good offensive player. Yesterday we had a very stagnant offense. I don't know.
Hmm.
I put two and two together and decided that they were pissing me off yesterday. So
Yep. Yep. 100%. 100%. Kind of looking real quickly to the defensive side of the ball. Walter Nolan was an absolute monster for us up the middle once again. 8 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, a sack. Just really raised all kind of hell there. Suntrain Perkins, another good game. 10 tackles with a half sack and a half tackle for loss. Princely in his return, 7 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. Luis Moore, 10 tackles. I thought Amos played a really good game as well as Jaden Kennedy. That's a guy that we've talked about a couple times on the show, but I still
mhm.
kind of feel doesn't get his just due as far as how good he has been back there at that other cornerback spot for us. And I thought he played a really good game, especially considering you had that scare with the injury earlier on. Talked about Amos already. They tried going at him on a key third down, and he made a heck of a play. It was like a 3rd and 7, something like that. Was able to get the pass break up there to end that drive. So overall, I thought our defense played good. I didn't think our offense put them in very good positions. Uh, I do think that Lane Kiffin got away from the strategy that has quite frankly gotten us here since the LSU game, and that is taking points when they're available and let your defense win football games for you. He obviously went for it twice inside the red zone, got stopped both times. I know we missed a field goal that he was trying to get there as well. Yeah, yeah. So that's 9 points left on the field, and you lose by 7.
Yeah, and win by 2,
It's
right?
tough.
And it wasn't a long field. It was like a 34-yard field goal, but I mean, it was off the foot. It was almost like, oh, he jerked it. So
yeah. So pretty frustrating there, obviously. But look,
one thing, play calling. Let's talk about play calling for a second too, because play calling sucks. I'm not a football guy, right? Like I don't know a lot about play calling, but I know that when you call the same play over and over and over, that the defense is probably going to stop it. Now, before we bash too much, I thought, with about 8 minutes left of the third quarter, we had a 3rd down and 2, right? And at that point, we brought Pegues in on 3rd down and converted that one, right? Instead of waiting on 4th down. I thought that was a good adjustment after halftime of like, okay, we'll give JJ 2 cracks at it or maybe, but we never did that again. That was I think that's the last 3rd down maybe that we converted. But the play calling, I don't get it either. I don't know. It feels conservative. It feels weird. It feels like he doesn't know it feels like he's calling the play for right then. He's not trying to think into the future.
Yeah. So with the play calling, I don't mind conservative. Like I said, with this defense, I'm fine with playing conservative. Don't turn the ball over. The one thing I have a problem with is when you do take your shots, you call plays for Juice Wells. And look, I know he was an all-SEC receiver at South Carolina. He has not been the same guy here for whatever reason, whether it was that leg injury, preseason, maybe still doesn't quite have the burst that he had. But every time we tried to take a shot downfield, that's where we were trying to go. And Jackson Dart, loving death, one of the best quarterbacks we've ever had, come through Oxford, Mississippi. He was totally keyed in on him on that interception in the end zone when he tried going deep, throwing into triple coverage there, and then throws the other interception, gets overturned. He has another shot at it, and they were going for a little stop and go route there with Juice Wells on the other sideline. And that's where he was trying to go, and Juice ended up stopping and not going. And then Jackson obviously sailed it there. One thing I did like seeing, though, was Jackson standing up at that podium yesterday after the game, taking all the responsibility for it. He apologized to the teammates, to the coaches, to the fans. He put it all on himself. This was in no way completely on Jackson Dart. He obviously made those 2 poor decisions at the end of the game. We're not in this position without Jackson Dart. Hell of a career. I know it's coming to an end here in one more game. He'll probably play the Egg Bowl, and that'll be it. I don't expect him to play in a bowl game unless total chaos ensues and we're able to sneak into the playoffs as a 3-loss team. But that's probably wishful thinking there. But I do want to give a shout out to Jackson Dart and all he's given to this university. He's kind of lifted us to greater heights, if you will. He's you think of quarterbacks like Bo Wallace, Chad Kelly. Both of those guys were able to basically raise us from the ashes into being competitive as a football program. Matt Corral being
Matt Corral
here
takes you another step up.
Yeah, right.
I think Matt Corral takes you another step, and then Jackson Dart.
Yeah, and that's kind of how you get Jackson Dart. You see what Matt was able to do under 1 year of Lane Kiffin, and so Jackson transfers in here. So great job by him. It's been a lot of fun watching him play. I know it didn't end the way he wanted it to. Hell, it didn't end the way I wanted it to. But really thankful he came to Ole Miss, played really well for us, and he will obviously be missed. He's got one more game to end up breaking, because I actually didn't even look. I don't think he broke Eli's record yesterday. I think he fell just short.
Yeah,
he's just short. So
3:23.
So he'll end up breaking that in the Egg Bowl come Friday night or Friday afternoon at 2:30. So that'll be a well-deserved reward for him, even though it's not the one that he wanted. So I do appreciate Jackson and everything he's done.
Daquan Wright disappeared after the first. I just saw that on my notes. Sorry, I interrupted you. I just saw it on my notes. He just disappeared in the second half. I don't know.
He did. You're right, and that's not to his fault. He was out there over and over again. Look, the receivers didn't do Jackson a whole lot of
drops
favors either. I mean, we had a bunch of drops, right? Let me see if I can
counted 5.
Number. I haven't even 5. I know Prescorn had one on a big.
I missed some.
on a big third down there across the middle, pre-score and dropped one. You saw Watkins drop two early, which you never see. One on a little bubble screen, and then one going up the seam there as well. But yeah, I mean, it was just one of those games that nothing was going to go right for us, and obviously it didn't, and it ended up costing us and ended up ending our season.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate that we're going into the Egg Bowl just like, who cares?
Whatever. Yeah. So, all right, look, before we get out here, let's take a look around the SEC because, as I said, there were several upsets around the country, and the SEC was not void of those. So, obviously, leading off was the Florida upset over Miss, not doing that again for sure. Georgia ends up beating the hell out of UMass 59-21. Tennessee dispatches of UTEP 56-0. Real good day to be a volunteer with everything that happened ahead of you. They're obviously going to be shooting up into the playoff rankings and be solidly in them as long as they don't slip up against Vanderbilt next week. Texas at home against Kentucky ends up winning 31-14. Was never that competitive, especially at halftime. It was 24-7 there, and they just kind of coasted from that point on. Arkansas beats La Tech 35-14 to move to 6-5 on the year. The Razorbacks are bowl eligible, so good on them.
Yep.
Not sure a lot of people saw that coming into the year. Maybe the hottest team in the entire country, South Carolina, 56-12 over Wofford. Sets up a huge matchup next week, Hitch, that I'm pretty excited to watch, which would be South Carolina and Clemson. And look, South Carolina sitting at 8-3, 5-3 in the SEC. Obviously, right on the brink of being in this playoff conversation. If they were, they're one play away from beating Alabama. Same against LSU. If you don't get that block in the back on the pick six there towards the end of the game that ended up costing them. You get a win over Clemson on your resume after that as well. South Carolina is really playing well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of teams that, like Kansas, right? I know we're not talking about Big 12, but I mean, for 3 weeks in a row, Kansas is like they've taken pride in playing Big 12 spoiler. And it feels like the same thing with Florida, right? I mean, 2 weeks in a row, LSU, Ole Miss, South Carolina, can do it. I told Blake last night, I was like, I know I feel this way every single year, but it always amazes me how drunk college football season gets right about this time when it's just it's if you'd have told me in week 3 that Texas A&M and South Carolina had a better shot of making the college football playoff than Ole Miss, I'd be like, yeah, right, whatever. But here they are at 8-3, going to be 9-3. If they win next week, it's crazy. It's great. Well, of course, Texas A&M not. They got beat, but you're fixing to talk about that one. But
we are. But before we get there, Missouri really saved us Rebel fans some heartache and dispatched of the Bulldogs 39-20. Not that it really mattered, but as an Ole Miss fan coming off the loss, last thing you want to do is have to listen to Mississippi State fans bragging about beating a supposed top 25 team. I'm not sure Missouri's actually that good and should be in the top 25, but we don't have to worry about that. Missouri wins 39-20 there in Starkville. One game we kind of talked about a little bit Thursday, Hitch, was Alabama and Oklahoma. We both thought Alabama would end up taking this game, but we did say that Oklahoma defense is for real. It's elite. If they can bottle up Jalen Milroe, then they can keep themselves in this game. Jackson Arnold has played better. The thing about this game that's so wild to me is Oklahoma not only won 24-3, they did it while Jackson Arnold only threw for 68 yards, but he had 25 carries for 131 yards on the ground.
Kind of flipped him and Milroe, right? Milroe had 15 carries for 7 yards. This Oklahoma defense really hemmed Milroe in, didn't let him get loose, and the same can't be said for Jackson Arnold, and he kind of ran wild on him. When I flipped it over, it was, I don't remember what the score was. I think it was like 14-3 or something, and I was like, oh, okay, here we go. This is interesting. But yeah, I mean, that was the game plan. Really just to have that defense do what it does and hope that the offense can produce something, and they did.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we go down to the Plains. This was another game we said all week just stinks to high heaven, didn't make any sense. Auburn comes out with a 43-41 win in 4 overtimes. Look, Auburn tried blowing this thing, right?
They
They
sure
jumped
did.
out to a pretty big lead on A&M. A&M comes out in the second half, really, really plays well. Defense got locked in, got them back in the game, got into the overtimes, and goes all the way to fourth overtime where they do the stupidest thing in the entire world where it's only 2-point conversions, right? But Auburn, to their credit, played by the rules, got their 2-point conversion, wins 43-41. And every single season, Hugh Freeze is going to slip up and beat a team he's not supposed to. He got another one.
Yeah, but I don't know if it matters. Now Hugh's on thin ice, I think, over there. But we'll see.
Yeah, he is. But look, he's got a chance to go into the Iron Bowl against what'll probably be a pretty, disappointed Alabama team, to say the least.
He's going to win the Iron Bowl
with a chance
and go to a bowl game.
6-6. That would
he's going to win the Iron Bowl and go to a bowl game.
And then last game in the SEC last night, down in Baton Rouge, Vanderbilt put up a heck of a fight, but falls just short, 24-17. But what they did do, Hitch, is Diego Pavia covered, just like he always does.
Always does. Yeah, I thought this one got up. It was like 7-something. This one got up to like 9 or 10 by game time, which was kind of surprising that it had that late movement. But yeah, I mean, the man covers.
He does. That's all he does. He just prints money over there, and if you're not riding with him, then that's on you.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. We will. We'll see if we bring you something next week as far as the Egg Bowl preview or not. But with Thanksgiving and all that, I don't know what everybody's schedule is, but we'll see if we can.
We're gonna
figure something out.
We'll do a deviled egg eating contest and talk about the Egg Bowl for Thanksgiving. Deviled eggs, man.
I have a way better shot at winning that than I do our gambling competition. So, but that will also be coming to you on Wednesday night. So we'll also get together and record that for you. Yeah,
it got closer yesterday. It almost got a lot closer. But Chad's still up there. We got one more week to catch.
He is. That's right. One more. So, all right, guys, I appreciate y'all tuning in to this episode, and Hitch, appreciate you doing this with me like you do every single Sunday. And at the very least, we will talk to you again on Wednesday with the winner of bets joining us.
Can't wait. Hotty toddy.
Yeah, maybe so.